Hello everyone. Hope you all are very well at your home and now getting ready for your university examination. Find this last session on breech presentation. Till now we have discussed management of the breech presentation during pregnancy, that is through external cephalic version. In this session we'll talk about management of the breech presentation during labor. We start with the first stage. Either the vaginal delivery is allowed to occur or planned cesarean section is done. We'll discuss when we can allow the vaginal delivery and when the cesarean section is decided. So, depending on the situation, either we allow for the vaginal breech delivery or we have to plan cesarean section. Besides the usual management protocol that we follow in normal labor, this protocol we have discussed in detail in normal labor, so I am not again going into this detail. We have to keep in mind certain other aspects also. Certain other aspects should also be considered. So besides this usual protocol, we have to keep certain other things in mind. First, vaginal examination is done at the onset of labor for pelvic assessment, that is to see the pelvic adequacy and associated detection of cord presentation, because it is likely to occur in breech presentation. Soon after rupture of membrane, PV examination is done to exclude the cord prolapse. Another risk factor or the possibility is cord prolapse along with the breech presentation. Patient is advised bed rest to prevent early rupture of membranes. Nothing is given orally except water. This is as a precaution to keep the possibility of cesarean section. Nutrition is maintained by IV drip. Careful watch on uterine contractions. How do they progress? That we have to observe. We also have to observe the progress of labor and fetal well-being. Indications of vaginal delivery. What we discussed just now, when we have to go for the vaginal delivery and when we have to plan cesarean section. So first we see indications of vaginal delivery. Gestational age 38 to 41 weeks. That means full term. Estimated fetal weight 2.5 to 3 kilogram. That means satisfactory fetal growth. Presenting part at or below zero station at onset of labor. That means the presenting part is quite engaged. It is quite below or at the lower level. Cervix soft, effaced and dilated 3 cm or more. That means cervix has at least started to dilate and dilatation is about 3 cm or more. It is not necessary that you will find complete or full cervical dilatation. It may be just 3 cm. That means cervix has that much dilated. So at that time you can allow for the vaginal delivery. Large gynecoid or anthropoid pelvis. This size pelvis is adequate enough to allow the vaginal birth of the fetus. Prior breech or vertex delivery with baby weight 3 kg or more. Means the woman had prior experience of the vaginal delivery. It may be breech or vertex where the fetal weight was 3 kg or more. When she had prior such experience, then only you can allow the vaginal birth this time. Active uterine contractions. When contractions are good, contractions are strong, they are severe, you can allow the vaginal delivery. No other high risk maternal factor present. So along with the breech, or you can say except breech, any other high risk maternal factor is not present. So these are all the indications of the vaginal delivery. Now we come to the indications of cesarean section delivery. Gestational age below 37 weeks, that means below full term, and above 41 weeks. This means post maturity. Estimated fetal weight above 3 kg, that means oversized baby, large fetus, or growth retarded fetus. IUGR fetus is delicate, it is small size, so may not resist the force of the vaginal delivery or the strain of the vaginal birth. Presenting part at or above -1 station, that means it is quite high. Cervix incompletely effaced, and cervical dilatation stops to occur after 3 to 4 centimeter. That means cervix has begun to dilate, but then after 3 to 4 centimeter dilatation, cervix stopped to dilate. So at that time you may go for cesarean section. History of difficult vaginal delivery or no prior vaginal delivery. The patient may have prior history of the vaginal birth or the vaginal delivery, but that was difficult. Various complications occurred at that time, or patient had no history of previous vaginal delivery. Small gynecoid or android pelvis. In these small size pelvis, vaginal delivery is not possible. Footling presentation, hyperextension of fetal head. These are all the abnormalities which are in favor of the cesarean section. Dysfunctional labor, premature rupture of the membranes, and high risk maternal factors. These also indicate cesarean section. Now we come to the management in the second stage of labor. This can be planned according to this way. It may be assisted breech delivery or breech extraction. Assisted breech delivery consists of the two steps: spontaneous breech labor and abnormal and complicated breech labor. So we first start with the assisted breech delivery, where we first start with the spontaneous breech labor. It is also called assisted spontaneous breech labor. It should be conducted by a skilled or experienced doctor. The things to be kept ready are anesthetist, assistant, episiotomy material, and obstetric forceps. These materials are must during the labor, so they have to be kept handy. Things for reviving asphyxiated baby should also be kept ready, because the newborn may be asphyxiated. So to revive the newborn, the required material also should be kept ready. Never hurry. Very important, you can say, the rule for the delivery of the breech presentation. Unnecessary hurry should be avoided. Never pull from below, but push from above. This diagram can make you better understand this rule. Never pull from below. You can see the red cross. Pulling from below should never be done. Always give a push from upward or from above, right? Always keep the fetus with the back anteriorly. The fetal back should be facing anterior. Patient is brought to the edge of the table in lithotomy position. Wait and watch till crowning of the fetal buttocks occur. Maintain full aseptic precautions during whole duration of the labor. This does not require explanation. Pudendal nerve block. It should be done before episiotomy. Pudendal nerve supplies the areas surrounding the perineum, so its blockage should be done. How is it done and what is it? It is usually done for forceps and vaginal breech delivery. It doesn't relieve the labor pain, but affords perineal analgesia and relaxation. So it causes loss of sensation to the perineum and also causes relaxation of the parts. It is done prior to episiotomy as local anesthesia. It is less dangerous method for both mother and fetus than general anesthesia. Patient is kept empty stomach like GA. Reassure the patient to obtain her cooperation. You have to reassure the patient that she does not require to worry about, everything will go fine. And this reassurance is important to get cooperation from the patient. Procedure is done by two techniques, either transvaginal or transabdominal. By this technique, the effects of anesthesia persist for about 1.5 hours, that is for 90 minutes. After the pudendal nerve block, a liberal mediolateral episiotomy is done up to the level of anus at the time of crowning in all primigravida and selected multipara. So, episiotomy incision is extended up to the level of the anus and it is done at the crowning in primigravida and multipara. Now you know what is crowning, so I am again not going into its detail. Why the episiotomy is done? To straighten the birth canal, which especially facilitates the delivery of breech with extended legs. So episiotomy is more required in breech with extended legs, where lateral flexion is inadequate. Also, it facilitates the intravaginal manipulation, which is required during the labor to minimize compression of after coming head. One of the important aims of the episiotomy. The best time for episiotomy is when perineum is distended and thinned out by the breech as it is climbing the perineum. When the breech reaches the perineum, it is called climbing the perineum, and at that time, due to the pressure of the buttocks, perineum is distended and it is thinned, which is caused by the buttocks. So at that time, episiotomy should be given. Then patient is asked to bed down and assistant is asked to give fundal pressure during contraction. You can palpate the contraction through the hardening of the uterus. At that time, patient is asked to bed down and the assistant is asked to give the fundal pressure. If contractions are good, following episiotomy, there occurs a spontaneous breech delivery in the flex breech. Flex breech is when all the fetal body parts are in the attitude of the flexion. So at that time, if contractions are good, after the episiotomy, within a very short period, spontaneous breech delivery occurs. Then wait and watch policy should be adopted, or no touch of fetus policy should be adopted till the trunk is delivered up to the umbilicus. So till the fetus or till the trunk is delivered up to the umbilicus, either you adopt the wait and watch policy or adopt the no touch of fetus policy. That means fetus should not be touched till that. Fetal legs are not pulled as it may cause extension of the arms. So pulling of the fetal legs should not be done. As I told you earlier, you have to never pull from below. So and pulling is avoided. Unnecessary hurry should be avoided. Soon after delivery of the trunk up to the umbilicus, GA is given in cases where difficulty is anticipated. So in cases where you find that difficulty is likely to occur, you have to use general anesthesia. Extended legs are to be disengaged by pressure of the knees in a manner of abduction and flexion of the thighs. A loop of the cord is palpated to see the pulsation and kept on one side to prevent or minimize the pressure or compression. So the cord is kept on one side. If the back remains posteriorly, trunk is rotated to bring the back anteriorly. I just told you earlier, you have to keep the back anteriorly. So if it goes posteriorly, you rotate the trunk and keep the back anteriorly. The body is wrapped in a sterile towel to prevent slipping while it is held with the hands. The shoulders crown during subsequent contraction when one can release the posterior arm followed by anterior one. After delivery of the shoulders, the head enters the pelvis by weight of hanging the trunk. Delivery of the aftercoming head, it is the most crucial phase of delivery or crucial stage of the delivery. Two methods are adopted for it. One is Burns and Marshall method. and the second is forceps delivery. We see first Burns and Marshall method. Patient is lying in the lithotomy position with the buttocks at the edge of the table. The newborn is allowed to hang by its own weight, unsupported for a while, but never for more than 1 minute. So you cannot keep the newborn unsupported for more than 1 minute. Then assailant is asked to give suprapubic pressure with the flat of hand in a downward and backward direction more towards inciput to promote the flexion of the head so that favorable diameter is presented to the pelvic cavity. It is achieved within 1 to 2 minutes. When the nape of the neck or suboccipital area of the head is visible under the pubic arch, the baby is grasped by the ankles with a finger in between the two. The trunk is gradually lifted and brought upward and forward towards mother's abdomen, and thus the head is delivered slowly. You can see this diagram. This will make your understanding better. First step, second step, and the third step, where the baby is lifted up and forward towards the mother's abdomen with the feet, and the feet are held at the ankles with the finger in between. So these diagrams will make your understanding easy. You can compare this diagram with the content which I have given you in the previous slides. So this will help you to understand in a better way. After delivery of the mouth, it is cleaned by mucus sucker. This method, this Burns and Marshall method, is especially useful in multigravida with average sized baby. The other step of delivery of the after coming head, other method you can say, is the forceps delivery. It is done in cases where head doesn't descend spontaneously on the perineum, under general anesthesia or local or pudendal nerve anesthesia. So any of these anesthesia is enough for the forceps delivery. Head must be in the pelvic cavity. This is the prerequisite of forceps delivery. Head must be in the pelvic cavity. Forceps is applied at the engaged head lying in the pelvic cavity. The fetal trunk is lifted up by the assistant, grasping the legs throughout the procedure. Piper forceps, specially designed for it. You can see this is the Piper's forceps. It is specially designed for the forceps delivery, for the delivery of the aftercoming head. Other well-known forceps is the Das forceps. These Das forceps blades are introduced from below the trunk of the baby. Das forceps is also used. See, this is the long curved Das forceps. It is called by the name of the physician Das, famous Indian physician. So after his name, these forceps is also called Das forceps. It is the obstetric forceps. It is used for the delivery of the head, or during the delivery these forceps is utilized, right? So that was the use of the Das forceps. Even though forceps delivery is slow, it is the safest method for delivery of the engaged head, engaged aftercoming head, right? So delivery can be controlled by giving pull directly on the head, and the force is not transmitted through the neck. That's why it is the safe method, because the pressure directly applies to the fetal head. Flexion is better maintained. Baby's mouth can be cleaned while appearing at vulva. See, this is the forceps, how the forceps is used to deliver the aftercoming head. However, the fetus is born, if asphyxiated, is resuscitated. So for the survival of the newborn, this resuscitation is very, very important. That's why the required material should be kept handy, because there are more chances of getting the asphyxiated newborn. That was all about the spontaneous breech delivery. Now we come to the abnormal and complicated breech labor. It can occur at 3 levels: Why the complication is there? Because delay in the descent or delivery of the buttocks, there may be delay in the descent or delivery of the shoulders, or there may be delay in the delivery of the aftercoming head. We see first delivery in the descent or delivery of the buttocks. It is due to arrest of the breech on perineum or on pelvic floor or in outlet. This is the level where the arrest of the breech occurs. So it is likely to occur either on perineum or on floor or in outlet. And secondly, it is also possible in the pelvic cavity and brim above the level of the ischial spine. So at these two levels, arrest can occur of the buttocks. First we see arrest of the breech on perineum. When it occurs, the common causes are breech with extended legs. This is the commonest cause, and the treatment is given by the groin traction. Weak uterine contractions, treatment is again given by episiotomy and groin traction, and the big baby with rigid perineum. So in majority of the causes, the treatment is given by groin traction. So now let's see what is groin traction. For that, traction means a pull. You have to pull the groins. So episiotomy is done before groin traction. During uterine contraction, it is done by applying one index finger at the anterior groin, pressure exerted more towards the trunk. As the buttocks are born, traction can also be given by another index finger in the posterior groin. It is continued, the pressure is continued till trunk is delivered up to knee. This is the groin traction done by both index finger. So I have kept diagrams to make you understand easy this topic. Otherwise, without chalk and board or without the demo of the delivery, how the management occurs, it is quite impossible. So I hope through these diagrams you can better understand the process. Second, arrest of the breech in the pelvic cavity and brim above the level of the ischial spine. Probable causes are contracted pelvis, big baby, weak uterine contraction, combination of several contractions, several factors like extended legs, weak contractions. So these are the probable causes of arrest in the pelvic cavity and brim. The treatment of choice is cesarean section. Because contractions are weak, pelvis is contracted, so no scope of having the vaginal birth. So you have to go for cesarean section. Thirdly is delivery of the shoulders. That is the second part of abnormal and the complicated breech labor. It commonly occurs due to extended arms with either lateral or dorsal displacement. This is because the management is not done properly, traction is wrongly done. This will cause dorsal displacement. It is arms become extended due to faulty technique in labor. I told you, because of the faulty technique, wrong management, the arms get extended. Diagnosis as per winging of the scapula and absence of the flexed upper limbs in front of the chest, that you find in the flex breech. When there is flex breech, arms are crossed toward the chest, but that is not seen. So when you cannot see the crossed arms over the chest, in front of the chest, that means the arms are extended, right? So absence of these flexed arm in the front of the chest helps in the diagnosis of delayed delivery of the shoulders or in the extension of the arms. Treatment is done by bringing down the posterior shoulder first, followed by the anterior one when both arms are extended. That is due to faulty technique in labor. In nuchal displacement of the arm, nuchal means dorsal displacement of the arm, when the arm goes posteriorly towards the back, it is called nuchal displacement. The baby is grasped at the pelvic girdle and the trunk is rotated towards the fingertips of the displaced arm until the arms become posterior, which is to be delivered in the usual manner. This is the treatment of this displacement. It is the Lausset method. The spelling mistake you should find. Please correct it. It is a Lausset method. That is the other method, which is the easiest and safest method for delivering the extended arms. It does not require intrauterine manipulation. So without such manipulation, the shoulder delivery can be possible. Then delivery of the aftercoming head. It may be at the brim. Difficulty delay may occur at the brim, in the cavity, or at outlet. Right? So we see the probable causes. When delay occurs at pelvic brim, the causes are delayed head, contracted pelvis, hydrocephalus, where the fetal head is larger in the size. In the contracted pelvis, you will find CPD, cephalopelvic disproportion, which causes delay in the delivery of the aftercoming head. Then delay may occur in the cavity. The probable causes are deflexed head and the contracted pelvis. It is contracted pelvis, not contacted. So again, please find the spelling correction. It may occur at outlet, rigid perineum, and the deflexed head. Besides this, the other causes are big baby, backward rotation of the occiput, and the undilated cervix. These all causes will cause delay in delivery of the aftercoming head. Treatment. Rigid perineum and deflexed head are often associated. Episiotomy is done if head is engaged. Use of forceps when head lies in the pelvic cavity. If head lies high up, the jaw flexion and shoulder traction should be done. It is the method which should be attempted. If the dead fetus is dead, then go for craniotomy through suboccipital region. Craniotomy is the process where cranial vault is open, it is ruptured, because after death of the fetus, the brain has shrunken, it has become smaller in the size. It might have been liquid, because liquefaction is a part of maceration, right? So liquefied brain or the liquid brain can be removed easily. This will reduce the size of the fetal head, and then the vaginal birth will be possible, right? So when the fetus is dead, you should go for the craniotomy. Other method after or besides the assisted breech delivery is the breech extraction. It is the hurried delivery of breech under general anesthesia. Its indications are fetal distress, prolapse of cord, second twin baby in second stage of labor, where vaginal delivery is possible with chance of fetal survival. So at that time, you can go for the breech extraction. These are the indications for breech extraction. This is the whole plan of management during the second stage of labor. You may go with the two methods. Either you go for the assisted breech delivery or you go for the breech extraction. Assisted breech delivery again of two types: spontaneous breech labor and the assisted and complicated breech labor. Spontaneous breech labor again can be done by the Burns and Marshall method or by the forceps delivery. Abnormal and complicated breech labor is concerned with the delay in delivery of the buttocks, delay in delivery of the shoulders, and delay in delivery of the aftercoming head. Delay in the delivery of the buttocks occur due to arrest of the breech on the perineum or arrest of the breech at the pelvic cavity or in the pelvic cavity and the brim. And the second method of delivery or second method of management is the breech extraction. We have discussed each method or each step in detail in the earlier slides. This picture is just to give you the whole plan of management in the second stage of labor, right? We have discussed indications of each step, when which step is to be adopted. So accordingly, you can go ahead in the management of the breech presentation. And the last is third stage. Active management should be done. necessary prophylactic drugs are given. Like most importantly, you should give the anti-hemorrhagic drug, that is to avoid the postpartum hemorrhage. Adequate measures or precautions are taken to prevent the complications, and the major complication is postpartum hemorrhage, so you have to pay attention to prevent the postpartum hemorrhage. So this was all about breech presentation. I have tried to make your understanding as easy as possible, and I hope you have enjoyed this session and understood the topic very well. Thank you.